The Food and Drug Administration is taking aim at leading pharmaceutical companies as the Trump administration vows to lower the cost of prescription drugs. The FDA publicly calling out firms that block efforts to produce generic versions of many popular medications. Dr. Scott Gottlieb is Commissioner of the Food and Drug Administration. He joins me now. Thank you for being here. You were going to be on late last week, and because of the unfortunate, very sad situation in Texas, we weren't able to do this. But just last week, you made an announcement saying that the issue of getting drugs to generics is a high priority, and it's the best way to try to get the prices down. How was that action met in terms of reaction from the pharmaceutical companies?
Well, we've been taking a number of steps to try to bring more generic drug competition into the market across a range of different efforts. What we did last week was we published the names of companies where generic firms come to us telling us that they're having problems getting access to the doses of the branded company's drugs that they need in order to do clinical studies to get their generic drugs onto the market in the first place. So we know that sometimes branded companies adopt certain tactics where they make it hard for the generic firms to get the doses of drugs they need in order to run the studies that they need for generic approval. And now we're disclosing the names of the companies where the generic firms are having difficulties. So we published a list of about 50 different drugs where generic firms are having a hard time.
The Office of the OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, says that the average citizen's prescription drug costs in 2015 in different countries, in the UK, $497, Canada, $807, the United States, a whopping $1,116. Do you think that if you were able to get more of these drugs to generics, that the United States commitment on that would dramatically decline?
Well, there's not a silver bullet here. There's no single solution. But I think trying to get more drug competition into the market is going to have an impact on the pricing. It's not just generic drugs. It's also branded drugs. Trying to make sure that when a branded drug gets approved, getting the second or third version of that drug onto the market also is an efficient process so that you have price competition. And people who have monopolies don't have them in perpetuity.
Let me ask you about one other thing. The Congress has passed, the House has passed the Right to Try bill. Take a listen to President Trump on that the other day.
Right to Try passed. We'll be signing it probably sometime next week. And this gives people hope. We can go, they'll sign a waiver, and they'll be able to use what they need. And in many cases, they'll be helped.
This has been a big priority for some for a long time. Do you think it will have an impact on people that are seeking some sort of hope in their trials?
We think it would. We have a long-standing commitment to trying to provide promising drugs to patients who are out of options, who have terminal conditions. We do a good job of that. We get a lot of drugs to people who are facing long odds, fatal diseases, terminal diseases. We think this is going to be another vehicle that patients are going to be able to use to get access to products in certain situations, and we're looking forward to implementing it.
Let me ask you about another topic that is sure to get some attention if it does spread, and that is the issue of Ebola. We know that in Congo there have been a couple of cases that have come up. I know that the forces there, the health care forces, are trying to contain it. What sort of risks do we have here in the United States if this does not stay contained?
Well, I think the risk to us right now in the U.S. is minimal, but we're not out of the woods with respect to the DRC. There are some cases that have popped up there that are unaccounted for, meaning that we haven't been able to trace back how the people got the infection. So that leads open to question that there may be some additional people who are going to come down with Ebola there. There are additional people who are infected. But we've really had a paradigm change with respect to how we approach this. We've gone from a posture of containment to one where we're now able to offer people treatment and protection with a new vaccine.
How is that able to get to the people there? I know distribution of this type of vaccine is sometimes difficult in Africa.
And this one in particular, because it has to be kept in a very cold temperature. So they've been able to do it. They've been able to get the vaccine into the major city. They got about up to 8,000 doses in, and there's many more doses that they could bring in if they have to. So they've been able to bring in the logistics to get that vaccine distributed to people who've been in contact with some of those who've been infected.
All right. FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks a lot.